Hello, Abnormal Family. I got another Friday drop for you. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Thank you for all the support for Hunter. The links are in the description to support him. We're never going to quit, guys. We're going to push and push and push until he comes home. And we appreciate all the support that's been coming in, the donations, and everything that's been mailed to us. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. It touches our hearts, and we love each and every one of you. Don't forget to join us tonight as we're going to have a special live this Friday night. We will have our original live Saturday, but we're going to have a special live this Friday to take a look at somebody that needs to be talked about. So let's get into this encounter, guys. It's a game warden that has sent us an encounter. This encounter happened during the late summer in the early 2020s while I was working as a wildlife warden in the northern region of the Appalachian Mountain Range. At the time, I had worked in the area as a warden for about a decade. I had no paranormal or otherwise strange experiences up until that point. Sure, I've heard some straight-up scary sounds at night in the backcountry, but for the most part, it's going to be explainable as an animal. Wind blowing through a geographic feature, or even just the human mind playing tricks. I've always personally been more of a skeptic. Over a campfire with a few drinks, you could convince me of a small population of North American apes, Bigfoot, but demons, shadow people, etc. are largely out of my belief range. My encounter took place in a valley within the Appalachian Mountain Range. I had been surveying a scheduled Atlantic Salmon River that day along the bottom of a beautiful birch tree populated valley. This spot was rich in fish, but not widely visited because of the long, unmarked, and winding trail it took to get there. The trail itself is quite steep, and you have to make your way through the hogs and, around the sinkholes and everything else. It's definitely not very doable for the elderly angular population here. I had been hiking my way out of the valley a couple of hours before sunset when this happened. I was on one of the steeper sections of the trail and would have to cross a log at the top before going up another steep section. I was still quite bright. It was still quite bright out at the time of day. The opposite side of the valley was in darkness, but my side was still being illuminated nicely as I trekked through the healthily spaced birch tree forest. I would say I sensed it before I saw it. Everything was quiet at once. Then in itself it didn't faze me. Wildlife often go quiet as humans walk through an area. What did make me stop and look around at my surroundings was that one of the sounds remained a sound I couldn't dismiss as an animal. As I looked around, I heard this chattering. Not like a squirrel, chipmunk, or another rodent, but like a loud, old-fashioned typewriter, but deeper. I narrowed the sound down to being on my left, as it was straight out from me on the same section of slope. I just stood there silently listening to the clicks for some time before I saw it. Very subtle movement among the otherwise unmoving background of the forest. Something was peeking at me from around the fair-sized birch tree. It was pale, almost blending in with the birch bark, and seemed to possibly have short whitish fur, though I couldn't make it out for sure. I couldn't see its legs to determine if it was standing or climbing, but it must have been every bit of my height of a bit over 6 feet, if not a bit higher on the tree where its head was stuck out watching me. It was just peeking around the tree at me with only minimal amount of its pale face showing. I could make out its round eyes, and below that, holding on to the side of the tree as if not wanting to step out too far, was one long human-like arm ending in a hand. There we both stayed for what felt like an eternity, frozen, just sizing each other up with it, making occasional deep, loud clicks. I never got any truly hostile vibes from it, more curious or cautious. Though I wasn't sure what I was looking at or what it physically was capable of, it looked impossibly humanoid or adjacent. I remember almost feeling like being in an out-of-body experience looking at it, just like I was stunned, not being able to comprehend what I was looking at. I did eventually move uphill and towards it a bit, trying to get a better view. It mirrored my movements, staying just behind the trees. At a certain point, I heard a few clicks uphill, and behind me, as I turned, moving my attention upwards, I heard quick shuffling in both directions. Presumably, this was them both fleeing, but I practically split myself trying to look in both directions. I could see two of them just peeking from around the trees at me. The new one was further uphill looking down at me, while the first one was still on the slope, but now closer. At this point, I got cold shivers down my back and legs, not completely terrified yet, but not liking this situation or how they were moving. I quickly and carefully made my way back to the trail, not wanting to take or make any fast movements or turn my back to the now more vocal creatures. I hastily left the area with them both behind me. The last sign of them I witnessed was whenever I was at the top of the slope and entering a bog. From where I could see, still faintly hear them down the slope, loudly chattering away and now breaking branches. My entire hike back, I was looking up in every tree and scanning around me, but they were not following. I arrived back at my ATV just at dark. Let me tell you, I wasted no time getting out of there. To this day, I'm unsure what I saw, what kind of animal or other they may have been. I left my career as a warden a few months after that and took a new job as a maintenance worker at a small town some distance away. I don't want to say this experience shook me, but I just didn't like the working alone in the forest after that. I could always just feel my eyes on me, or I could always feel their eyes on me. Even now, I always shine my mag light against the tree line behind my depot before moving between vehicles and working at night. The forest just doesn't feel the same to me anymore, or as safe. That's a really good encounter, guys. I've often wondered if the tree knocks are actual knocks or if they're vocal communication these creatures are able to use. If I'm right, and this is a theory and an opinion and a hypothesis, if I'm right and they are descendants of the Nephilim, which in my opinion makes them Nephilim, then they may have attributes that could have been passed down with them. One being, we know the enemy, they said, had instruments inside of him and made beautiful, beautiful music. If those instruments were metaphorically been spoken and were vocal cords, then that would explain the sounds higher than we can hear, lower than we can hear, and the other sounds that we cannot, understand right now. So, if these wood knock sounds we hear are them communicating, I believe it's very possible they could be doing it with their vocal cords and it's not actually tree knocks at all. It could be communication, it could be location, it could be a way to find us. I'm not exactly sure right now what they're doing, but that's one of my theories I'm working on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Smash that like button for Hunter. Send this out there. Make it go viral, guys. Hitting that like button does so much. I look forward to your comments on this one. And as always, we will see you tonight on the Friday Live. We're going to do a special live tonight, and then at our normal time Saturday at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, my mom will be talking about her encounters she had at her home when she was a child, and the ones I spoke about, which would have been my granny's. So y'all are going to get to hear the beginning of it, of what she went through, what caused it, what they look like, and y'all are going to get a chance to ask my mom questions that you've all wondered. Until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel, don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the next one.